Here's something I've watched happen more than once. It usually starts the same way. A woman has two real options in front of her, the promotion and the other thing, or the stretch role and the job she already has, or two new jobs. She's good at decisions. She makes hard calls at work every single day. She does what she does. She builds the list, she weighs it out, she asks her boss, her mentor, her husband, the friend who always tells her the truth, and every answer makes sense, but none of them settle it. So at 3 in the morning, she's lying there running it again. Same two options, same ceiling. So here's why it won't settle. She's asking which one is the better opportunity, and that question has no answer. They're both good opportunities. That's the whole problem. So the question that does not have an answer is a different one. Almost nobody has ever handed her the tools to ask it. And that stuck feeling is not a sign that something is broken in you, it's information. And most women walk right past what this is trying to tell them. So today we're going to slow down and read it together because the reason that this decision won't settle is the same thing that can tell you where your career should go next. I'm Jill Avey, a career success coach, and this is SisterSmart Leadership, the show that explores how women can rise from director to vice president and beyond by fully leaning into their feminine energy as their biggest advantage. Let's get you one step closer to the recognition and promotion you deserve. So let me show you where to look. Today, I want to walk you through the very first piece of work that we do with women inside our program. We call it peak experiences. And it's a way of going back through your whole life and pulling out the moments that formed you, those pivotal ones, the ones that are still with you today. Not necessarily your biggest wins, though some of them will be. I'll come back to that because that's the part that a lot of people get wrong. These moments are carrying data and they hold what you need to make the next move from a real place instead of, well, this is the next logical step, so I guess I'll take it. And by the end of this, you'll know how to start reading the values hidden inside your own life. And that decision stops being a mystery that you're solving at 3 o'clock in the morning and it becomes something that you can answer. So let's get into it. First, why this comes up for so many high performing women at this stage. When you've been going strong as a director for years, you've gotten very good at one thing, reading what people around you want from you and delivering it beautifully, on time, better than expected, figuring out what the system rewards, and then go be excellent at it. That's how you got here. But the move to VP asks for something different, and nobody warns you about the switch. You can't keep climbing on other people's priorities. You have to know what you stand for. And here's what I see over and over. Women who have spent many years performing for the system, that they've lost the thread of what matters to them. And so when that fork in the road shows up, there's nothing to measure the two roads against. So that's why we start with your values. And the answer is not a quiz, and it's not in a worksheet where you fill out the answers you think you're supposed to give. It's in your own life. So let me tell you what a peak experience actually is, because it's easy to get this wrong the first time. A peak experience is a moment that mattered, a pivotal one of a handful that actually shaped you. Not the biggest moment, the one that meant something. Something in it met a real need in you, and that's why you still have it, while 100,000 other days went right out the window. So now here's the first place that people get tripped up, because it doesn't have to come from work. Some of the strongest ones come from nowhere in your career. So I'll give you one of mine, and I'm going to tell you, it sounds like nothing. My husband and I were driving across the Midwest, and we stopped one afternoon in a small town whose name I can't even tell you today. We got milkshakes. Mine was pineapple, and we sat on the steps of an abandoned building and drank them. And that's the whole story. And I can still see it. By then, the afternoon milkshake had become the thing on that trip, the little treat that we went looking for every day. And something about that hour on those steps got filed away and kept. So think about your whole life like one long trip, thousands of days, most of them blur together the way most any trip does, but there's a handful that you'd actually put in the photo album. And so here's the strange thing. They're almost never the famous landmarks that you were supposed to love. They're the small ones, the unplanned afternoon, the conversation on a porch, the pineapple milkshake on the steps of an abandoned building. Those photos are not random. They're those specific ones for a reason. And that reason is what we're after today. So now here is the second piece that people trip up on. And this one is bigger. Your peak experiences do not all have to be good. I know that sounds backwards. We hear the word peak and we picture the highlight reel, but these are the experiences that formed you, and plenty of what formed you was hard. a year that took something from you, a boss who made you smaller, a loss you didn't see coming, a stretch where nothing was going well and you had to be more resourceful than you'd ever been. So here's one of mine. I had a hard time fitting in as a kid, and that experience did not only shape my value of being part of something bigger, but it shaped the value that I have of helping others too. And so I'm continually thinking about how can I bring people in? Our hardships create much stronger values than the things that go well. If you grew up without much stability, security might sit right at your core now, and that's a real value and it's yours. That's life. Plenty of people go through it, and we still build values out of it. So we do not skip those years, we go get them. So now let me swing the other way, because I don't want you to overcorrect. Sometimes the moment that formed you was a straight up achievement. And sometimes the value comes out of that achievement itself. And here's the piece that I want you to catch. Values are charge neutral. There's no good list and bad list. Achievement is not a shallower value than compassion. The only question is whether it's being fed in a way that serves you. So let me tell you about another one of mine. The first year out of college, I won Rookie of the Year in sales. And what I remember is not the award at all. I can't even remember what the award was. It was the drive. I was heading up the highway 99 in my new car, music blasting, my favorite sunglasses on. The sun was going down on one side and the city was on the other side. And I felt like such a hot shot. And underneath that hot shot feeling was something much bigger. It was the first time that I understood that I could really be all the things I'd been dreaming about. That potential that I could feel in my heart was real. I won a lot more sales awards after that one, but none of them were ever as sweet. And that was decades ago, and I can still see that highway. When I finally wrote down that story, the value I put next to it was achievement. And when I sorted out everything later, achievement turned out to live inside my number one value, which is having an impact. So it wasn't the trophy, it was the glimpse. So my second one is being part of something bigger. I want to be careful with that one because people hear it and think I mean community, but it's more than that. It's needing the work that I do to be part of something larger than me. And that value is a big reason why I wanted to lead in the first place. So, no, your achievements are not disqualified. What decides whether the moment belongs or not, it is not whether it was impressive, it's whether it formed you. So the milkshake counts, the award counts, the hard year counts. And why do so many of these moments matter so much? Why not just take a values quiz and be done in 10 minutes? Because a quiz tells you what you think you should value. Your peak moments show you what you actually value. And there's a real difference between the values that you admire in other people and the values you live by. A list on a page is not going to tell you which is which. But your own stories will tell you that. So here's how it works. When a value of yours is being honored, you light up. You don't have to try. The energy is just there. It feels like coming home. And the reverse is just as true. When a value of yours is being stepped on, you shrink, you drain, you go quiet, you withdraw without fully deciding to. Your body knows before your brain does. And here's why most directors miss it. We've spent years overriding that exact reaction because ignoring it got rewarded. You pushed through. You took the stretch roll that made your stomach drop. You told yourself it was just nerves and you would grow into it. And a lot of the time it worked. So you learn to stop trusting that reaction at all. That decision that you can't settle, that's what's happening underneath it. One of those two roads is stepping on a value that you've never named. And you're not broken, you just don't have the words for it yet. So you don't have to figure this out one moment at a time. What you do is you look across all of them and find the pattern, the thing that keeps showing up. And that pattern is pointing straight at what sits at your core. Okay, so what does this actually look like when we do it? I'm not going to walk you through it step by step, and that's on purpose. But I want you to see the shape of it because the shape is what surprises people. This one exercise can take an hour, not 10 minutes. And the whole module that it sits inside takes weeks. So I could hand you a card sort, a page of values, pick your top 10, done in 10 minutes. And plenty of programs do that, but we don't. And the reason is the whole point. A card sort gives you the words. It doesn't give you the evidence. So this comes in 3 parts. Part 1 is the stories. We go looking for your peak experiences across your entire life. So not just your career, not just the good years. That's where the evidence lives. And one thing about how we do it, because this is where the writing happens, is I have a rule in this program that you'll never have to write from a blank page. So you're never sitting there staring at nothing and trying to be profound about your life. We help you do this step by step. Part 2 is the sorting. And this one sounds, because it forces you into trade-offs. When you have to hold two things that you genuinely care about next to each other and say out loud which one comes first, that's when you find out how deep each one really goes. And women generally surprise themselves here. Your values also don't have to be single words. My number 3 value is keeping it light even when it's heavy. And there's no one word that covers that. So it stays a phrase. In fact, all my values are phrases. Part 3 is the one that changes people, though. So this is where we stop asking what your values are and we start asking what condition each one is in right now. So because a value is either getting expressed in your life or it's not, every value that you own is sitting in one of 4 states. So the first one is constructive. So it's being honored in the way you like. This one's being fed and you can feel it. Second one is destructive. The need is getting met, but not in a way that serves you. Your value is excitement, for example, and your life is absolutely exciting, but it's also chaotic and no one's having fun. Same value, different result. Third, dishonored or stomped on, we call this. People mix this one up with the last one a lot of times, but here the value is not getting met at all, and it hurts. Integrity when you work on something that sells more than you can deliver. Making a difference when you've started to suspect that what you sell doesn't help anybody. Okay, and our last condition is dormant. So this is just not this season for it. I had a client who valued adventure with 2 small kids at home, and a trip to Disneyland was not going to do it. So dormant is allowed. You still name it though, and you're just not feeding it right now, and we can live with that. So then we run these 4 states across your whole life, not only work, your partner, your friends, family, money, recreation, spirituality, growth, your physical environment, your health. And that's a piece where women go quiet in a session sometimes because for the first time, the thing that they've been carrying for years has a name and a shape and a reason. So now here's the part that I really don't want you to miss because it explains so much. A value that's being stomped on will make that part of your life feel practically unbearable. No matter how many other of your other values are thriving right alongside it, you can have a good title and a good team and good money and people you actually like. And one value is getting crushed underneath it and the whole thing will feel unlivable. And when that happens, most of us go one of 2 ways. First is to tell yourself that you're being ungrateful. Look at everything you have. What is wrong with you? And the second one is to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You decide the whole thing is wrong, the job, the company, all of it, and you start looking for the exit. But usually that's not the whole thing. It's the one value, the one place not getting honored. And once you can see that clearly, you have options that you didn't have before. You can find somewhere else in your life to feed that value. You can find another way to get that met inside the same company, or you can go address that one issue directly and have quite a good time from right where you are. So nothing's wrong with you. It's just that something's getting stomped on and you haven't named that yet. So it works the other way too. And this is the version where most women are actually living when a value simply isn't getting expressed anywhere and that part of your life goes flat. It's boring. It's ho hum. Nothing's wrong, but nothing's right either. And you don't feel alive. Flat, chaotic, unbearable, 3 completely different feelings. And each one's telling you something different about which value is in trouble. So here's something that still gets me. The first time that I did this on myself, I rated how fully I was honoring each one of my values on a scale of 1 to 10. And my number 1 value, having an impact, that thing that drives everything I do, I gave it a 3. Not because anything was wrong, but because I could finally see how much more of it was available to me and I wasn't going after it. It was when I first started coaching. That 3 part is a big part of why I do what I do now. So let's say that you do it. You find the moments, you find the pattern, and you finally can name the values that sit at your core. What's that worth? Let me be concrete. First, now you have a filter for every decision that's in front of you. Should I take the stretch role? Is a hard question that can keep you up at night. But does this honor my core values is a question that you can answer like that. You stop weighing every move by weighing whether it's the next logical step, and you start weighing it by whether it's your step. And this is why it matters so much in a job search. You stop hunting for the better job and you start hunting for the one that fits. And that's one of the biggest keys to whether you're happy once you're in it. And second, now you have language to say who you are as a leader in interviews, in sponsor conversations, in a moment where a senior leader is deciding whether they can picture in a bigger seat, because senior leaders notice something, even if they can never put it into words. They can feel that difference between a woman promoted towards her values and a woman promoted away from them. So one walks lit up into the room from the inside, and the other walks in capable and accomplished, just slightly hollow. That's the same resume, just a completely different presence. So here's one more that helps on the day-to-day. This often helps explain the conflicts you keep having with somebody at work, or even maybe with your whole company. A lot of times it's not a personality problem at all. It's a values disconnect, and they value something different than you do, and neither of you has named it out loud. Once you can see what they actually do value, something loosens, and you don't have to agree with it. You can see it, respect it, and stop carrying the whole thing around with you. And those two roads we started with, now you can tell them apart. One of them points towards the things that make you come alive, and one points away. Two very good opportunities, two very different lives on the other side of them. So that stuck feeling was the one part of you that never stopped keeping track. It's not a problem to fix. It's a map now that you know how to read it. So let's make this useful in 3 small moves. You don't have to do all of them. Just start. First, I want you to write down one peak experience. Just one, just from any part of your life. Not 5, not a whole list. Just one moment that's still with you from anywhere in your life, and get really specific. A particular afternoon, a particular drive, particular set of steps. 2 sentences is plenty. And then second, I want you to ask that question that opens it up. Not what happened. Ask this instead. Why did that matter so much to me when somebody else could have had that same exact afternoon and shrugged? That question is where the value is hiding. So I want you to sit with it longer than it feels comfortable. There's real information there. And third, find your flat spot and your unbearable spot. Run down the areas of your life: work, your partner, family, friends, money, fun, health. Ask which one has gone flat and which one has a piece in it that you would call unbearable if you were being straight with yourself. Don't fix either one this week. Just find them. This is really valuable just to see this. And those are 2 spots where your values are talking the loudest. Thanks for watching. Here's what I would love to know. What is one moment that came to mind while you were listening that you never would have called a peak experience? The small one, the strange one. If you're watching on YouTube, put it in the comments. One line is plenty. I would really love to see what comes up for you, and I have a feeling somebody scrolling by is going to recognize herself in yours. The next step is simple. Tonight, open up a note on your phone and write down that one moment. Write down why it mattered to you, and that's it. That's the beginning of leading from a real place. And if you want to do the whole of this work, all 3 parts, and come out on the other side knowing exactly every one of your values and where they stand, that's the work that we do inside of our Sisters in Leadership program. You can learn all about that by downloading the private podcast that you'll find at the top of the page on SisterSmart.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. And if you're a female leader who wants to make a bigger impact by leading at a higher level in your career, subscribe either on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast so you won't miss an episode. I'm on a mission to help more women succeed in leadership so that our world gets the benefit of what women bring to leadership. And if that's aligned with you, I'd love to have you be part of this community and tune into more episodes on women's leadership that will support more success for us all. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're ready to fully lean into your feminine leadership and get promoted from director to vice president and beyond, hit that subscribe button so you'll get all the episodes to come. And check out the recommended video here to see how women are rising up without playing by the old rules that built these male-dominated industries and systems.